What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you guys everything you're going to need to make your 50cc scooter way faster. Okay, so the first thing that you guys are going to want is a sports exhaust. This right here is the Yasuni R. Even though it's a sports exhaust, it comes with a restrictor.
Oh, hell no!
If you remove this restrictor right here, the exhaust is no longer road legal and it's for track use only. If you look inside right there at the restrictor, you can see that there's two little welds holding it in. If you want to make the exhaust perform to the best of its ability and really breathe, you need to remove this restrictor right here. So we're going to go ahead and take those two welds and just try and grind them out with a Dremel to get that restrictor out. Another thing I've noticed with this as well is that it's been clear coated, which I didn't think Yasuni did. I didn't think any of these sports exhausts came with any sort of coating of protection. I'm pretty sure my last one for the blue Typhoon didn't, and it's the same exhaust system, but I know it's got clear coat on it because there's a massive clear coat paint run right there. Yeah, and that's not the only one. There's a massive one right there on top as well. I didn't do the paint work, so I'm not bothered. It's not my mistake. But there is paint runs in this. It doesn't matter. As long as it's protected, that is ideal. You could potentially just put this straight on the bike and hopefully it won't rust, or at least rust too quickly. Now, with the Yasuni R exhaust, there are actually two restrictors.
But not for long!
There's one right here and there's one in the silencer. So we're going to remove both of those restrictors.
Yeah, boy.
Dremel. We're going to try and use this Dremel with this little cutting cone in the end of it to try and cut these welds. Somebody messaged me the other day saying that they tried to remove their restrictor and it went inside the exhaust. I get these exhausts and other parts from a company called pedparts.co.uk. Very, very good company. For an extra £10, Ped Parts will actually remove the restrictor for you before they send the exhaust if you want them to do that. I decided to leave it in so I can take it out myself because that's going to be much more fun and I get to show you guys how to do it. Sure, we could give this a little tune right here. Get these out. Wear safety goggles and all that stuff, guys. You know, safety first. I'm not going to do it, but you know me. Okay, safety ear protectors because that is loud as hell. In this particular case, the restrictor's quite deep inside that hole, so I'm just going to try and pry it a little bit now, see if we can break them welds. It's definitely moving. Okay, it's free and loose. Just need to get it out.
Three hours later.
There it goes. That's what the restrictor looks like now that it's been removed. And we'll just have a look inside the end of the exhaust. That's not bad actually, that's pretty clean already. But you could just go ahead and smooth out any areas in there that you think might need smoothing. So I'm gonna just do that and just clean it up a little bit more. The next restrictor is in the silencer, so let's go ahead and get that. I think I got a piece of metal stuck in my finger because it is itching right now. Probably wear safety gloves when you do this stuff, guys, especially this part now. Again, I don't have any gloves right now, so I'm just not going to. But this is the silencer for the Yasuni R. This is carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber? Carbon fiber!
And there is a restrictor in there. You can already see it. We're going to go ahead and get that out. This restrictor inside the silencer is a lot easier to remove than the restrictor that was in the exhaust. This is full of what they call like packing, and it's like fiberglass basically. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands, but I did it last time, just got it all over my hands, didn't bother me, so I'm going to do it again. But you guys shouldn't do that, okay? Don't do that, use gloves. And then if we just begin to pop this out at the end of the can, there is the restrictor right there. There we go. Just need to pop that ring out as well with it, and then it should all just come out. Now what I'm going to do is just wrap this up so that it doesn't start unraveling all over the place. But again, guys, you don't really want this on your hands. I'd wear gloves if I were you, but I'm me, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, it's like candy floss. So take a bite, have a taste. Good old taste test. Again, guys, don't touch this if you can help it. I'm going to touch it.
You touched the butt.
You guys definitely should avoid touching this at all costs. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm an idiot and makes good content. Put your carbon silencer end can wherever. Whoops. It's just two welds on the end. Really, really easy to cut. I'll breathe that in, Jesus. And that's it, guys. Very restrictive. So we don't need that, and we don't need the other one. That is what your two restrictors look like in a Yasuni R exhaust. There we go, that's that done. Definitely going to wash my hands after this, but as you can see now, the difference, no longer have this sat down in there like that, blocking all the airflow. It's gone. I might have to do a video at some point with a full 70cc engine build, testing a Yasuni R fully restricted versus not restricted, and see how noticeable the difference is. And that's how you de-restrict your silencer and your exhaust. Now, the problem I have is that this is where my camera goes. It mounts right here and comes on a stick, but there's nowhere for me to put a phone mount to measure the speed properly on the bike, because this isn't very accurate. So we're going to try and remove this for now and get my phone on here and my camera on here so we can measure the speed and find out just how fast the bike goes right now, whilst it's just a stock 50cc. I am not kidding, I've just spent about half an hour trying to get this screw out. Yeah, they're quite loose, so let's tighten them up. Yep, that's much better. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take the bike out and just give it a quick 0 to 40. I don't know exactly what speed it's going to get to, but we'll just see how fast it gets there with a fully stock setup and a stock exhaust system, and then we have a basis for comparison. So let's give that a try. A lot of issues with the bike, I can tell. The CVT definitely wants setting up. I think it's over revving. I think it's getting too much air as well. Okay, 3, 2, 1. I reckon maybe 30 mile an hour tops. Apparently that can't be 23, 28, 30, 33. Okay, so we're getting about 39 mile an hour apparently. Took a while to get there. Definitely took a while to get there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do before we start getting the exhaust on is just assemble this part right here, because I like to use Honda Bond on here to make sure that it seals. So we're going to do that first. Onto here, like that. This is just to try and prevent any exhaust leaks, basically. There are 2 seals that go on here, so we'll just slip them on. And that should seal up quite nicely. Jesus, that is on there. Oh my God, that is on there, Jesus Christ. God, Jesus. I don't remember doing it that tight. Oh yeah, we definitely have a leak. There we go. Now, it's kind of pointless putting a sports exhaust on a cylinder like this. Not pointless, but it's a D-shaped port, you know, it's not very open, so it's not going to get the best flow that it could get. Whereas if you put a 70 kit on, you're going to see much more optimal airflow and more power gains from the exhaust. So there's no instructions. There's supposed to be if you scan the box, but it didn't come with any. So I'm going to washer right there and a washer there. Now we'll leave that loose for now. It's roughly in place. That'll do. Let's get this lined up first. That's it. We got it. We got it. Right, let's start to tighten these up. So that's loosely done for now. Let's bring the camera back over here and start to get these roughly in the right position as well. I like to get these nice and tight just to make sure that this area is sealed. This gasket's definitely sealed before we tighten up the ones at the back. That's tight. Let's do the other side. Should do it. Not too bad. Okay, now it's time for the silencer. Oh, that's tight. That's really tight. And the last component is this. That's looking pretty good. You can't tell I dropped it, can you? Once you put a sports exhaust onto the bike, there's a few things you need to change now, which are the jetting in the carburettor, the roller weights in the variator, and the clutch springs as well. They're all going to need changing now because you've put a sports exhaust on your bike. At the bare minimum, you could do your jetting and your roller weights. You should really do the clutch as well, the springs at the very least, because if you don't change these parts, you're not going to get the performance that you want, and you're going to notice that it's slow and sluggish off the line. So let's talk jetting in the carburettor. This is the carburettor behind the air filter. What's happened now that we've installed a sports exhaust is that the entire system is getting more airflow. Everything's flowing more smoothly and freely, which is how you get power gains. But because of that, we're now sucking in more air into the engine, and that means you're going to need more fuel. So in order to do that, we're going to change the main jet. Now the main jet is basically a screw with a hole in it, and these are all different sizes, and they've got numbers on them telling you what the sizes are. The main jet controls fueling from 3/4 throttle to wide open. So you've got nothing, no throttle at all, idle, quarter throttle, half throttle, 3/4 and full. So between 3 and full, that very last quarter is what the main jet controls, how much fuel is going in. And we're going to have to increase that because otherwise you'd notice bogging. When you try and accelerate, the bike will just be sluggish and bog and make a loud noise from the air filter side. And you could potentially heat seize the engine because it's not getting enough fuel to keep it cool. It'll run way too hot. So we'll do that first, and then we'll talk about the other components I discussed when we get there. I've took off the fuel line, the vacuum line, and I've left the oil line on. You could take it off as well if you wanted to, but that gives us enough freedom to get to the bottom of here, which is what we need. So now we're just going to undo the float bowl, which is just 2 screws holding it on, and this will give us access to the main jet. Yeah, this is super easy, guys. If this is your first time doing this and you're looking at this video to learn how to do it, don't be intimidated. It's not difficult if you've got the right tools. This is going to leak a lot of fuel now, but that's normal. Don't worry about it. This is the float bowl. But this right here, as you can see, is the main jet, and there's a number on it which says 102 at the very bottom. With a sports exhaust system, we're going to try and increase the fueling by potentially 10 sizes or 10 to 15%. These are numbers I've pulled off the internet recently, so I'm kind of with you on this one, guys, learning about exactly what kind of jetting you should be running when you do a sports exhaust. When I built the Typhoon, it was all pretty much plug and play. I didn't have to mess around too much with the jet sizes, so that made it a lot easier. It's been a bit of a nightmare getting this bike running. I've put this carb on, I've had to try and get the jetting sizes correct myself and just guess, and I've not really spent too much time with tuning it. Just literally getting it on the road was all I wanted so that it would run reliably. So we know that the jet that just came out is 102. I've lost the jet. Where did I put it? Where did I just put the jet? I don't see it. Okay, so that jet I just took out, the 102 main jet. Good thing we read what size it was because it's gone. It's gone. Like, I checked the footage back, I put it in the tissue, put the tissue down, started talking about the Typhoon. I've gone back there and it's just not there. It's gone. Something's run away with it.
All right, here we go. We're gonna just steal a couple of things.
So we had 102 main jet, and we've got a few different sizes in here. If we went up 10 sizes, that would be 112. The biggest we've got is 118. So I say we try 118, see if we can get the bike to overfuel, and then we can come back to a smaller size. It's always better to run your bike rich than to run it lean because it's much safer that way. So we're going to go 118, as big as I've got. It's the biggest one we've got. So all I've done is pull the 102 main jet out, put 118 in its place. That's it. We've got a new seal, new float bowl. We'll get this straight in place. It's really annoyed me that I've lost that jet. I don't normally lose things, but now we're going to get the CVT casing off and start dialing in the variator and the clutch. Now, I don't know if we need this gasket, guys, so if anyone knows better, let me know. This is the variator. Looks like it's not getting full travel. So what I mean by that is the belt isn't running all the way to the outer edge of this variator. That's what it looks like to me. You're basically losing quite a bit of top speed there. I said at the beginning of the video, here's everything you're going to need to make your 50cc scooter faster, and it is true. But I also want to change this variator, but I don't have the part right now because it's not in stock. So once it comes back in stock, I'm going to change this entire variator for, I think it's a Stage 6 Sport Pro variator, this one here. So let's talk about the variator and what it does. The variator controls the shifting of the transmission, the CVT. And these roller weights, if we take these out and start weighing them on these scales right here, we'll see that these came with the bike. They're 6 gram. Now, I don't know if they're stock or if somebody's changed them, because I did say it seemed like it was over revving. With a sports exhaust system fitted to your bike, your power band, your peak power is now at a higher RPM. So the bike needs to be able to rev to that higher RPM to actually make the most out of the new sports exhaust. So to do that, we're gonna have to lighten the roller weights. Now, I've got these 5.5 gram rollers. They're just a cheap RMS kit, and hopefully they'll tire me over for now until I get the variator that I want to get, and then we can start getting more rollers, because unfortunately all these rollers, they're a different size than what I've bought for the Piaggio. I've got lots of rollers in stock, loads and loads of rollers to use, but none of them fit this variator. So these ones here are 5.5, they're a little bit lighter, only 0.5 gram lighter, but overall it will make a 3 gram difference, I think is what it is. That was just quick maths. You can correct me in the comments section if I was wrong on that. Now, sometimes these are directional, which means they go into the variator a certain way. These ones are not. Now, these are a bit crap. They're always a bit machined funny, so I don't want them catching in here. I want them to move freely. So I just tend to give them a little scrape on the ground just to smooth off the edges a little bit, make sure that they actually do roll around in there, because they're RMS, they're crap. RMS is crap, okay? We've discovered that over the past few videos, right guys? If you've been with me for a little while, you'll know now that I don't have good luck with RMS. It's cheap crap, so stay away from it if you can. Yeah, even this one's getting stuck. Damn, these are so bad. Let's try that. That's better. You should never have to do this with your rollers, by the way, what I'm doing. I'm just no RMS sucks. Yep, everything's rolling smoothly, great. So we can start to get this back together. Gonna slip this back on just like that. Really easy stuff to do, guys. If it's your first time doing it, don't be afraid of doing this, it's dead easy. Variator roller weights determine how the engine revs, and you need the engine to rev high for a sports exhaust to get into the right power band. Where that power band is exactly depends on the exhaust and cylinder kit that you have, so it's trial and error, guys. Don't ask me what roller weight should I run in this bike. I only know these two bikes that I've got, okay? And I only know them through experience, and every bike's different, and you know, it depends on the rider's body weight as well, things like that. You're gonna have to buy a few different sets of rollers and try them and try and find out where it feels the most powerful consistently, okay? That's the clutch bell, this is the clutch and torque driver, or rear pulley as you might want to call it. Oh, I might not have the right size for this. Yeah, we got it. Yes, the old-fashioned way. Damn, that's tight. It's full of crap, probably all belt. Yeah, the belt's not been riding very high. This is all a bit rusty. This will need replacing probably in the future. God, that's really on there. Oh, that looks horrible. I think we're just going to clean this up a little bit before we carry on the install. So I've fully taken this apart and cleaned it back up, and now it's moving nice and freely. Quite chrome and shiny, which means the belt's not getting all the way down, and again, it's to do with losing top speed. It doesn't go all the way out on the end of the variator, and it doesn't go all the way in on the torque driver, meaning we're losing top speed. Okay, so let's talk clutch. This is your contra spring or torque spring, and the stock one's quite soft. We're going to change that for a stage 6 medium, which is always, for me, it's just an easy go-to spring. Somewhat stiffer, and basically what this does is just keeps the CVT in lower gearing for longer and also prevents belt slip. You don't want to go too stiff with a contra spring because it puts a lot of force on the belt and it can shred your belt. And people often tell me that realistically you want as soft a spring as possible without belt slip. I like the stage 6 medium, so that's what I'm going to run today, and we'll see how it goes. You can get away with not changing this. You could keep your stock spring if you're on a budget, you know, and that's what you want to do. But what is really, really important, you're going to want to change these 3 little springs right here. These control when the clutch pads actually bite onto the clutch bell and engage the back wheel, so how early it does that. With a sports exhaust, as I said earlier, your power band's now much higher up. You want the bike to rev higher before the clutch engages, otherwise it's going to set off really slowly. So we've got an entirely new clutch. You don't need to do this. You could just change your springs for stiffer ones. It might not be as good as you want though. Today we're going to run the stage 6 fully adjustable clutch, and it's about as expensive as a clutch gets, I think. It comes with a few different springs. You've got the white ones, which are softer, orange ones, like a medium strength, and then you have to pay separately to get these red racing ones, which are as stiff as it gets, which means that the bike will rev as high as possible before the clutch actually engages. I found that with this clutch and those red springs on the Piaggio Typhoon, I still feel like the clutch engages too soon, but I've done everything. Like, this is so adjustable. I'll show you in a second how adjustable this actually gets. But it comes with these weights as well. The more weight you've got, the harder the clutch engages. I'm going to try and run it without any weights and then try it with the weights afterwards and see if it's any different, probably in a separate video. But for now, we're going to run it with no weights and just see how it is, how it compares to the Typhoon setup, which has all the weights in it. So we need to change these springs. Now, luckily on this clutch, you can get to them from the front, but on clutches like this, you have to go in through the back. With the Stage 6 fully adjustable clutch, it's not like basic clutches. Not only can you change springs, but you've got these Allen key screws here that adjust the tightness of the spring. They pull on this little black section out and puts more tension on the spring, meaning it will engage later. But I've had this fully adjusted, tightest springs, as tight as I can get it, and it still engages too soon on the Typhoon. I think a good budget clutch is the Evo clutch, Motoforce maybe? It might be a Motoforce clutch. I found that one to be probably one of the best clutches on a budget and really lets the bike engage the revs quite late. This might actually be a bit of an unnecessary clutch really, this Stage 6 one. And that's it. And now we can adjust the tightness of these, so we're going to dial them right up. Right, I've adjusted them nice and even, as tight as I can get them evenly. Now comes the fun part of trying to get that nut back on. When you're putting the clutch assembly back in, you need to step on the torque driver like this, open up the torque driver, get the belt right in, and then install it. The reason we do that, get the belt right into the torque driver, is so that when you put the pulley back on to the crankshaft here, you're not clamping this against the belt, because the belt is now nice and loose and out the way. And now the last thing to install is a clutch bell. You don't need to do this either. Again, I'm just doing this because I'm putting a new clutch on. This is a lighter and bigger clutch bell, I believe. I don't think this stock one would fit. Let's have a look and see, does it fit? It does, it fits. So the stock clutch can be used. It's better at cooling, it's better at being able to actually get into these adjusters if you need to through the tops, because you can't do that with the stock one. But I think it's lighter as well, so it should spin a bit faster and it looks nice. So everything's assembled, ready to go. This is all nice and tight. One thing I'm going to do is a Sharpie trick, which is you just take a Sharpie and you mark your variator like this, and that just gives you a very easily identifiable point to see how high the belt is riding, to know if you're actually getting top speed or not. What will happen is the belt will rub the Sharpie off. If this Sharpie's still here at the top, we know the belt isn't getting that high, and it should be doing, so we're losing top speed. But I already know the belt wasn't getting that high from how it's been rubbing. We'll see now with these mods and the lighter rollers and the sports exhaust if the belt gets better travel and we get a higher top speed. But before we start the bike, there's one more thing I want to do, which is to just change this brake lever, because I'm not sure if it's bent, but it's definitely scratched. I found that missing jet, by the way. It's slightly bent, not massively, but enough for me to notice. So yeah, I want that changed. All right, this is it. First start with the new exhaust. Now we're gonna have to fill that float bowl up because it's gonna be empty with no fuel in it. That's surprisingly quiet. I thought it'd be way louder than that. The back wheel appears to be locking up for some reason. Something to do with the clutch, I'm guessing. But this is a new one for me, I've never experienced this. Everything we've installed should be a direct bolt-on. This is the first time I've ever had the CVT casing off of a bike while the engine's running, because you can't do that with the Typhoon. There it is. It's the bell. The bell is catching right there on the cover. I've not seen anybody else with this problem. I know some people cut the casing. I'm not doing that at all costs. If I can avoid cutting the casing, I'm going to leave it fully intact as it is. I don't want to cut it at all. There's not even any air vents on this, actually. There's nowhere for it to breathe like on Typhoon. See them air vents there at the back of the CVT casing, big holes. There's nothing like that on this, but I still don't want to cut the casing because it weakens the strength of the entire engine, and then they're known to snap right there. They just snap. So I don't want to cut this at all. It adds a lot of strength to this with all the bolts in. But yeah, we are definitely catching right there just a little bit. So we're going to have to grind that down a little bit. So I've ground this away a little bit with a Dremel and just see if any of it gets touched again by the bell, but I think that should be okay now. I decided to shave the casing down a bit more with this because it was still rubbing after I'd already attempted to shave it down. It's been a day or two since then, and I've taken all the starter components out. I've run a few washers in place of this big disc right here behind the variator because I think it's about 2 millimeters thick, so I just wanted to re-add that thickness behind the variator. We've got rid of all the starter parts just to lighten the load on the crankshaft so it's not spinning this component as well. It's always really smoky for some reason when I turn the bike on. I don't know why. Typhoon's not like that, but I mean, I think it does need an engine build, so maybe oil's just collecting somewhere. I also think that maybe the crankcase seal on this side might be leaking oil. I've not really got any air leaks, but I think it might be leaking oil out of it, so we'll have to see. But it's going to get a full engine build anyway. For now, let's just see how it performs with these brand new parts. It seems like it's revving up very fast now. And the back wheel's not locked up yet, so I might give it a test run now and then get the bolts back in the casing. Okay, I think we should go for a test run. Yeah, check out the bikers. Little Honda groms. Clutch still engages quite early, but I've noticed that with this clutch, even with the stiffest springs fully adjusted, it just engages a bit too soon. I don't think it's going to be much faster than it was at top speed. Acceleration is definitely a lot better. Top speed might not be miles different, but we need to really, you know, dial in the CVT, and it'll take time and parts that I don't quite have just yet. 3, 2, 1. Already, that is much better. 40, 41, 42, 43. Yeah, we got 43. We got to 39 so much faster than last time. So yeah, it's definitely quicker. Now, we got 43 mile an hour there. I definitely want to spend time on the CVT and get it really dialed in, you know, find the right roller weights. The clutch springs and stuff like that, I'm happy with that setup, that's fine. The torque spring could maybe be a bit softer and be fine and actually give us more top speed. The roller weights definitely need dialing in, and we have to tune the carb. We've literally just threw a jet in it and tried it. We've not messed around, but this video has definitely been a long one as it is. So really dialing in this bike will probably be like the next video, I guess, or maybe a couple videos. This video is really just about getting all the parts on, explaining what they do and how you're supposed to install certain parts together. In the future, we are going to be doing a full 70cc engine build, so I might not go too crazy with setting it up right now. I might just wait until we do the 70 build and then really dial everything in. When I dialed in the 50cc Typhoon and got it perfect on the CVT, and then I threw the 70 kit on and put the bigger carburettor on, the CVT was still fantastic. It was still a perfect setup even with the 70 kit. That is how you free up power. Exhaust system, roller weights, definitely mess with the clutch if you want that acceleration, otherwise it's going to be so slow off the line. Now the acceleration's improved massively, and there's no way that we've actually recorded that. We can't really record the acceleration, it's just more how I'm feeling it and explaining it to you guys. But acceleration's great, the top speed's definitely improved, but we could definitely get more if we spent time now tuning the carb, making sure the jetting's actually perfect, and then really getting the roller weights dialed in, because I've just threw in some 5.5 grams and we're going to need to wait until we get that new variator, which should again give us even more speed, and then really dial in the roller weights, because I'm not buying all different shapes and size roller weights when I'm changing to a different variator. It's just not worth it right now. 39 already. Gets to 39 so much faster. 44. This guy. He's like, what the f? He's not about the wheelie life, you can just tell. Oh, he's just got his way to work, bro, for the night shift or something. Don't know what the mileage is on this. It said 10,000 on the clocks. I don't know if it's had an engine change or what. This could be really old and we're trying to squeeze power and performance out of something that needs a rebuild. You never know. Oh yeah, it's still coming up quite easily. I mean, this comes up so easy, look at that. There it is. God, it's so good, this bike, so good. Oh yeah, she came right up then. So easy. God, it's such a good bike. Oh, over the speed bump. Nice. She seems good to me. We'll get that. Oh, I've been wheeling without the casing bolts in. Oh man, I should have put the CVT bolts back in the case, because I shouldn't have been wheeling it like that. It's got like no strength right now. Let's listen to that starter motor. Yeah, that's doing nothing now. That's everything you're going to need to make your 50cc scooter much faster. Now, of course, you're going to need to spend some time dialing in the roller weights and making sure you get them just right to really hit the power band of the new exhaust system. Some things I want to go over. In one of my recent videos, I fitted a YSS shock to the back of the Typhoon. I had a few people say to me that the YSS shock is known for snapping. It's snapped on them. In a couple of weeks of riding, they've snapped the rear suspension. Now, I spoke to my supplier and they said it only snaps if it's under strain, which is fitting a jack-up riser kit or something like that to move the suspension from where it's supposed to be or making it longer than it's supposed to be. That's when it can snap because it can't move freely and pivot on the casing as it's supposed to. A Yasuni R exhaust system might be a bit too much for a stock 50cc engine. From the supplier that I bought it from, it does say it's compatible with the 50cc, and it was pretty good on the Typhoon once I got it dialed in with the CVT and everything. But I'm going to be going full 70 build with the Yamaha, so I might as well buy the Yasuni R and not have to buy one exhaust then buy another one later on. It just wouldn't make sense. Now, it was definitely a lot quicker. The acceleration was much better and the top speed was better. We can definitely get more. We're still not getting full belt travel for some reason, so I need to look into that. But again, we're going to be changing the variator. We'll really dial in the roller weights and then we'll test a few different belts. I bought the longest belt I could find from my supplier and it ended up being a lot shorter than the belt that's on the bike. So I'm going to try and get a replacement standard belt that's on the bike now, try and get another one of those from eBay or something like that, because the sides may have worn down and it's gotten thinner, so it's not reaching the top of the variator like it should. That could be part of the problem. We're going to do a bit of shimming as well. I need to order shims and just shim the variator. This is all going to be in a future video, so you'll understand it when you see it. But yeah, that's how you make your bike faster. Obviously, there's more we could do to really squeeze the potential out of it, but not in this video because this video has definitely gone on long enough. So we will mess with the variator and CVT and the carb and tune it a little bit more in the next one, I think, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, like it, comment, okay, subscribe, guys, hit that like button. There's so many viewers and not a lot of likes. Like the video. Anyway, guys, that's all for now and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, put the team on my back, never fold, never crack, the wolf always roll with a pack. Now tell me how you like that, put the team on the map.